Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, for the first, let me introduce myself. My name is Baihaki Hakim. I'm from Indonesia. I'm undergraduate in Sultan Agung Islamic University, and I'm an English literature student. So, can you tell me about yourself, Mister?
So I am Jack. I'm from London. I'm 35 and I'm an English teacher.
Great. So, I wanna ask you some question about UK, actually. So,
Yep.
for the first question, I think I'll go straight. How would you describe uh, life in London or in UK to someone who has never been there, like myself?
Um, I think that from the outside,
Yeah,
the UK can seem like quite a divided place. But I think when you are someone who lives here and someone who experiences London and the UK on a daily basis, you realize that it's a place that is very diverse, but people genuinely care about one another and people want the best for not just themselves, but
yeah,
their fellow citizen as well.
yeah. So, uh, is it quite different? Like, for example, in Indonesia, we people we are greetings with our neighbor. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, is it also
Yeah,
happen in UK?
I think it. Yeah, I don't want to say that it's different, because if I think of my neighbours, I would say that if I see them in the street, I say hello to them, I ask how they are. Um, but if you're maybe on public transport or um, in a walking down the street and there are strangers,
Yeah.
you wouldn't say hello, you wouldn't greet them. Um, not that that would you know not that you're being rude by not greeting them,
Yeah.
but people don't often just say hello to one another unless it's someone you kind of on a first name term.
Even if you know them, you want
Yeah,
with.
yeah, or it might be. I mean, a lot of people comment on how here we might say to someone as a greeting, "Oh, how are you doing?" Or, I might say to a friend, "Oh, how are you? Are you all right?" But how do I describe it? It's not like I'm actually asking, "Are
uh,
you all right?" It's just something that we use as a term of addressing someone.
yeah.
It's quite strange, and I think people who haven't been to the UK would find that really unusual.
I see. So, because you're a teacher, right? So,
Mhm.
can you tell me a bit about how student in there, like, is there are there rude or something in school or?
Um, I'm quite lucky that I work in a school that students are respectful and
Mm,
the vast majority of students care about their learning and they want to learn. But I know that a lot of schools, um, students can be really rude, and they can show that kind of lack of respect, lack of care. But I think that comes from the fact that, we live in a time when
yeah,
there seems to be a lot of division within society, and students are always going to be the ones that they hear it from their parents, and they think that the world is this kind of horrible place, but
yeah,
yeah, it's not. And as I say, I teach students of all races, colours, creeds, and every single student is kind and respectful. And yeah, I think it does depend where you work, maybe even where in the country you work. But yeah, not my students. My students are very kind and respectful.
So you really love your student, right?
Yes, yeah, I'm very lucky.
Okay. And then, so London is known but for being a multicultural city, right? So how does that
Yes.
diversity influence everyday life, especially you?
Well, yeah, that's a really good question. I think that the biggest thing is, and as I say, being a teacher, I do
Yeah.
teach students from all around the world, or at the very least, students whose parents are from all around the world. And it can be that I'll go from teaching a student from or with parents from India, and then sitting next to them will be a student who may have grown up in Estonia. And over here, that is seen as completely normal. Um, we don't, no one ever kind of questions things like that. And I think that's a really wonderful thing. And I think what's been really nice at the moment is obviously with the World Cup being on, I'll walk down the street and I will see people who are white British and they'll have an England shirt on. I might see someone who is British Asian and they'll have an England shirt on. I might see someone who is Black British and they'll have an England shirt on. And it's really wonderful knowing that people who come to this country feel that sense of belonging.
Yeah.
They feel that, no matter where their parents or grandparents may have been from, this is the country that they can kind of um, live in and be respected, and that's really nice. And I think the other thing that will always be a huge, or will always have a huge impact, is food. And I think when you walk down even my high street, um, I could get food from all over the world. And if I think there's very few cuisines that I couldn't find within maybe an hour of my front door.
Yeah.
And I do think that's a really wonderful thing.
I see. And then, what do you think is the most unique aspect of British culture that foreigners might not know about, like the
Um,
etiquette or traditions? Is it
I think,
still relevant for you
yeah,
today?
it is. I think probably the way that we use certain phrases.
Yeah.
Um, so, you know, for example, where I live, we have something called Cockney rhyming slang, and that is its own dialect completely. So people might say something like, if I was to say I'm getting my barnet cut,
Yeah.
that would mean my hair. Um, and then equally, it's like the idioms that we use. So things like raining cats and dogs. Um, I'm just trying to think of other examples, but there are so many British idioms that
Yeah.
don't really make sense. And as I say, I obviously I teach people from all around the world, but I work with people from all around the world, and they look at me like I'm absolutely mad. So some of the things I say, um, but that isn't even just like a London thing. That could be, for example, I would use the word alley to mean like a gap between houses, and I
Yeah.
can pass from one street to another. But if I was in another part of the country, they might call it I think I've heard terms like snicket, and there are others, but different parts of the country will have different words that mean the same thing. And if you were to come over and maybe you've learned English on a platform like Duolingo, or you've been taught English, if you were to go to a certain part of the country, you would hear something totally different. And I think it would really surprise you just how different it
Ah,
is.
I see. I hope that I can come to UK.
Yes, yeah, I'm
That's
sure you'll love it.
my dream.
Yeah,
And then if we talk about culture, as I know that I really love UK's music, like Pink
yeah,
Floyd, if you know, Bring Me the Horizon, Oasis.
yes, yeah, and
I
Over the
don't really
Horizon, yeah,
like the Beatles so much, but yeah.
yeah.
So the question is, do you think art, music, and literature still play an important role in British society today? And why or why not?
I think I think they do. Um, but and I think really what testament to that is the size of um when Oasis reformed last year
Yeah.
and played the gigs all across the country. I mean, I was lucky enough to go, and for me, they're a huge band, a huge British band that have had a massive impact on me and a lot of people my generation. Um, Obviously, they then toured around the world, and it was very successful. But equally, I think we're entering a time where you a lot of British people really love Hollywood stars. You know, Sabrina Carpenter would probably be a really big example. Taylor Swift, and it's not that we don't love and respect our own
Yeah.
musicians, our own artists, but I think nowadays we don't necessarily look at an artist being British or, you know, wherever they're from and
Yeah.
see it as a big thing. I think it's just a
Mm,
case of where it, you know, do we like that person's music? Um, yeah, I don't think we're ever going to go back to a time when we see British artists or Britain in general as being like top of the pile and things like that. I just think we're happy to enjoy whoever we like listening to, or you know, if you think about books and other forms of media, I think it's just a very mixed world. You know, you think of like Hollywood, yes, there are British actors,
yeah.
but there are equally actors from Australia, America, and I don't think it really matters as much anymore.
Yeah. So it means you are enjoy or love to watch movies like Hollywood, something.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think there will always be a place for like a very British film, um, something like Love Actually or About Time, you know, films that I class as very kind of quintessentially British, even things like Wallace and Gromit. Um, but at the same time, there will always be that love for Disney, Marvel, you know, huge films, and they're they're films like that have taken over the public consciousness, and I think they're so popular now. We almost see it though, I will say, as kind of a rivalry with America when we have actors like Tom Holland as Spider-Man and Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. We see like a bit of a friendly rivalry, like we've got the actors in Hollywood,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of light-hearted rather than anything else. But it just shows that the world is a very multicultural place now, and you know we'll have actors and musicians from anywhere and everywhere.
Okay, thank you. And again, because you are a teacher, can you describe the education system in UK, like the school system, teaching style, or curriculum?
Yeah, so we have we're in a position where our GCSE exams have changed within the last 10 years, and our GCSEs are the qualifications that we receive at the age of 16.
Yeah.
And you know, I'll primarily speak for English. The focus is that students will get a passing grade, which is
Yeah.
a grade 4 and above, and it's 1 to 9 in English language, and that will involve reading about a text and answering questions. It will involve creative writing and things like that. Um, And students at the end of their formal education at 16 need to get a pass in that subject. If they don't, they have to resit the subject a year later. And again, if they don't pass it, for another year. And I think that whilst it's a good thing that we put a lot of focus on English and maths, um, I sometimes worry that we're not focused on the right thing.
Yeah.
For example, when they're studying English literature, there's too much focus on students memorizing things rather than their actual understanding of a text. Um, we often hear that the English education or the British education system is kind of like the known as a very strong system of education. But I do think that a lot more should be done for those students who, for all the will in the world, they're not going to pass, and that's a
Yeah.
bit of a shame, because we force them to resit and resit, but they may never pass.
So you say that uh, like if it's in my country, some students even they're not understand enough or not clever enough to uh, how can I say, like level up to the
Yeah,
next
move to the
class.
next stage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
move to the next class. But I heard some cases that students still uh, students still being, like, how can I say, they still got the promotion class even if they're not ready or not understand the at the moment class, like.
yeah. So we've never been like America, where we would hold a student back if they're not ready. You know, like for example, I picked up a student this year who is
Yeah.
in year 7, and when I picked this student up, I was told, oh, they're working at a year 2 level. So essentially, they're 5 years behind where they should be. Um, and when things like that happen, I kind of look at the situation and think, well, should this student have been moved up the levels
Yeah.
if really all that's happening is it's getting harder for her, and she's just going to feel even more upset that she can't do the work.
Yeah.
So I do think that, I mean, I'm not saying that holding students back is the right thing to do, but we tend to kind of force students down one path, even though it might not be suitable for everyone.
That's great, because also in my country the people
Yeah,
prefer to choose a free meal
yeah,
for free lunch meal for students uh than a free education, like the school is free, like that.
yeah.
I think the people here isn't ready.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a bit of a
Then
shame, really. And I feel for those students that go through that, knowing that it's going to get harder and harder and harder.
yeah, then in UK the university students are often expected to have a study independently. Do you think
Hmm.
this approach is effective?
I think it depends. Um, it works for me because I'm someone who would much rather be given a task and be told,
Yeah.
go away and get on with it. But then obviously between secondary school and university, we have college.
Yeah.
And I think if your college sets you up to have that independence, then great. But if you are someone who has had your hand held all the way through school, all the way through college, and all of a sudden you get to university and you're told, away you go, go and do this on your own, I think that can be a bit damaging for someone.
So how about the result? But when students do a study independently outside of college, right? Like after they go to class in campus, then
Mm.
they uh doing more study independently. Like they do study alone, right? They do
They do,
research.
yeah. I mean, even in secondary school, I would not expect my students to just learn what we know in class and then that's enough. You know, nowadays, as I say, there's so much precedence put on memory when it comes to exams that really students have got to be doing work in their own time. Um, and I think that in a way, that can be a good thing because it teaches them that that is what life is like. You
Yeah,
know, when you go out into the wide world of work, you need to understand that you do have to do work in your own time. Not, you know, I'm not saying every job is like that. I'm not saying it's always a lot, but it's important to understand that you can't just, for most jobs, walk
yeah,
out of the door at 3:50 or 5 o'clock and it's done. You know,
yeah. So this thing is still applicable there, but not like here. I think this thing is can apply here because students nowadays is more into like smartphone gadgets,
yeah.
computer.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
so hard to students to focus on
Hmm.
studying outside the
And I,
school, outside school.
yeah, and I will say that I do understand that. You know, I
Yeah,
do understand that it is really tough to
yeah,
focus on these things when you've got um, when you've got kind of so many distractions.
yeah.
But they also need to understand that that's the reality. That's the way of the world.
So it depends on their self, like, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that's an important lesson to learn. That independence is something that you have to deal with, and you have to get to a point that you are happy with. You can't just expect people to kind of do the work for you.
Yeah. And then, do you mind if you tell me about what social issue do you think deserves more attention right now in the UK? Like, is it mental
Um,
health, housing, education, equality, environment? The most
I think
urgent.
that I think the environment's always going to be something that's close to my heart. I would like us to put far more focus on
Yeah,
things like recycling, reducing carbon emissions, and things like that. But I equally know that it's very challenging to do that. You know, I
yeah,
recently found out that businesses have to pay to recycle, but
yeah.
it's free to put things in the bin. And stuff like that really shocks me because I think that we should be doing everything we can to improve the environment. But, you know, for whatever reason, that's not something that's in the public consciousness.
So the people in UK is already realize how have to behave, how they
Oh, yeah,
behave,
yeah.
something like that.
I think, you know, when I put the bins out on a Thursday morning,
Yeah,
there's lots of recycling bags there. You know, people know what they need to do. But equally, for some people, it's either not convenient.
yeah,
So, for example, I can recycle hard plastic at home, but soft plastic, like the maybe the stuff that would go around a DVD or computer game case, that
yeah.
kind of stuff, I have to take that to a supermarket to recycle. So a lot of people don't bother,
Mm.
which is a shame. But at the same time, I do understand that it's an inconvenience.
Mm.
So you need to find that happy medium.
So before I jump into the last question, I about a bit curious about, you live in London, right?
Yep,
Which clubs do you support?
I'm West Ham United.
West Ham.
Yeah,
Mine is Chelsea.
yeah,
I
yes. So we've had
I following Chelsea
a bad year.
since I was a kid.
Yeah,
I'm so excited
we've
waiting
had
for the next season with Xabi Alonso.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that I mean, he's a fantastic manager, and I'm sure that they're gonna have a great season. I just think it depends the quality of player that they can recruit,
Yeah, sure.
without being in European football. But I don't know. I think every year it gets tougher and tougher to keep and
In
stay
Premier
with
League.
the hunting pack. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But I think that this year, with a good manager and an already good squad, I think they'll have a good season.
I hope so. And I feel so
Yeah,
sorry for West Ham that relegate
we'll have
get
we'll have
relegation.
a good year. I'm sure. I'm sure we'll come back up.
Yeah, yeah, sure. After the end of the next season, I think West Ham is
Yes.
get back to the
Yeah.
Premier League.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
And also, do you watch England in this World Cup? Do you follow England?
There you
Oh,
go.
I
Yeah.
also want to watch this after this interview.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
England is my favorite nation in this World Cup,
Yeah.
beside
Yeah.
Morocco, because
I think we've not been amazing,
yeah.
but we've done enough. I think tonight could be a step too far, but we'll see. By 10 o'clock, I hope we'll know, and hopefully it'll be good news.
So you're confident that England will beat this Argentina team? No, why?
No.
I think
Um, I don't. I think Argentina have probably got a bit more fight.
because there's a lot of issue in social media that Argentina, they get a lot of help from this
Yeah, I've
FIFA
seen
thing.
it, but I don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
No, I think I don't believe that there's a particular team that they would want in the final.
Mm,
I think that they would just be happy with anyone, really. I mean, even before last night, the four teams that were left were four huge nations, and
yeah,
I'm sure they'd be happy with anyone. So yeah, we'll see. But I think it's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a rough and tumble game. So we'll see what happens.
for me so far, if because I watched this from the beginning,
Yeah,
I think England is better on the pitch. I
yeah. I
watched
mean,
the
let's
last
hope
three
so.
games. England, yeah, Bellingham is so
Hmm.
carry the boys
He's a
on the pitch.
fantastic player. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He will always, when you've got a player like that, it will always be the difference maker.
yeah, it's true. Then we've moved to the last question.
Yep.
If someone from my country, Indonesia, wanted to study or live in London, what advice would you give them?
Hmm.
For like the culture shock, education, society, and daily life again and again?
I would say they would be surprised how easily they would fit in.
Why?
They would find other people from Indonesia. They would find that you know anyone else who lives in London would be more than happy to talk to them. To become friends with them. And I
Yeah,
think if I was to give any advice to kind of for them to fit in, it would just be to kind of throw themselves into what it's like to live in London. Go and join clubs near you. Go and find out what's going on in your local area. But I'd say just enjoy it because there wouldn't be. I don't think they would find anything that is upsetting or anything like that. They just love the experience.
yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Jack. I
No
really
problem at all.
appreciate your time.
Absolute
You
pleasure.
you're so kind. Uh,
No worries at all.
yeah, thank you so much. It's coming
No
home.
worries. I hope it all goes well for you. Yeah, let's hope so.
It's
It's coming
coming.
home. Enjoy
Thank
the
you
rest
so
of your
much.
day. Thank
Okay.
you. Bye bye.
Goodbye.